And we should be good. Can you all see the screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. So I wanted to do something a little bit different than the typical, hey, how do I pass an Agile exam, or how do I be a Scrum Master, or what do I need to do? And I wanted to take it to a different level about building the $1 million Agile team with thoughts from Gary Vee, Grant Cardone, Bob Proctor, Price Pritchett, and Leah Hormozy, Hormozy actually. Something different. Please give me feedback as we go. You can always message me later on LinkedIn or during the conversation just to see what you like and what your thoughts are. And I wanted to do this such a way that not only could you use this in your teams, but also yourself personally. So there's a little bit of personal angle and as a team. First thing I want to share with everyone, I always do a little job outlook thing when I go to different events, because there's a lot of people here looking to grow their careers, learn new stuff. And I figure I want to share what's going on in the Agile job market right now. As you can see, here's a little spreadsheet capture of Agile business analyst, Scrum Master remote. So I started tracking since COVID, more remote stuff, like what is in remote opportunities, Agile project manager remote, Agile remote, stuff like that, just to get a different feel for what is available. And the one positive thing in this activity is that they all talk about doing something that you like to do. If you're not happy, you can change in your office, but don't limit your ideas that you can't take another job, because there's plenty of jobs out there in the world. Just seeing this. And these are just job postings in the last month. Oh, and just one other tip. Since March, it's gone down since March, but in February, March, it's a big hiring session because everyone's got their new budgets for the new years. And so they're hiring more people in that February, March timeframe than they necessarily now. And then again, you'll see it in September, October, because they realize they're behind schedule and they're going to hire. So just a little insider tip on that one. And this is just a chart just showing how, from an Agile perspective, and this is why this stuff applies to anybody, developers, business people. There's 475,000 jobs on LinkedIn in the past month here in the United States, not the world, just the United States, for jobs that had Agile. And now there are some companies called Agile, so that won't count, but there's a lot of job postings related to Agile. Anybody got any questions on that? How I came up with that or something looking at that? No? Okay. There was a quick survey that sent out. I don't know if you want me to give the answer. I can not give you the answer, but we will talk about what is not a habit of multi-millionaires. And the 3 questions were reflecting on goals daily, working individually, working with a mastermind team, and getting upset when things don't happen unplanned. So of these 4, you pick which ones are not a habit of multimillionaires. So it's just something to go from. And I won't give the answer because I think the survey is out for a week or so. So we'll let this sit. And then I'll comment later on LinkedIn what the answer is. Okay, here's the agenda. Talk about reuse, maximize value, goals, visualization, repetition, team, which is the mastermind, blame game, reviews and failure, quantum leaps in what we do, setting people up for success, and meetings wasting time. And there's a little bonus on gratitude that's more personal, but it works either way also. All right, next slide. All right, Gary Vaynerchuk, if you want to talk about, he has a slide deck. He's a chairman of VaynerX. I think if you know anything about social media, Gary Vee is the person. He's the one that knows a lot about social media. His big thing is on reuse and maximizing value. He has a free deck out there all about maximizing value, using time he spent really in a passive way, where he'll make a presentation, and out of that presentation he gives, he'll make 100 pieces of content, which he then shares through 50 different avenues in social media. So he's big on reuse. He's also big on making small content, experiment with the customer, and not assuming that he knows what the customer wants. He's out there so often and reusing the data. He's slicing up in ways to figure out what the customer really likes. Now, if you want, for your own sake, there is I put a link in this one. You can search, like if you go on Google and go Gary Vee marketing deck, you'll find his thing, but this is how to make 64 pieces of content a day. I personally, I don't know, I make like 10, 15. So I'm just one person. So if you're a big company and your company's not making more than 15 pieces of content a day, then you're doing something wrong. So, but this is one of the things. He's making money. He knows his customer. He's out there every day, and using the time and reusing it. And that's something that we, as from an Agile perspective, can leverage what we've already created to make more value. Okay. Bob Proctor. If you ever seen Bob Proctor, he was in the movie The Secret. Here's his book. One thing you notice about all my books that I have, they're all wrinkled. So these are real books. And the one thing about, as you go through these things, is you read them multiple times, because every time you read it, you learn a new thing that you didn't capture before, because you have grown in your knowledge. And sometimes going back and taking it again adds more value. And I'll be honest with you, I've done that with a lot of Scrum and Agile classes where, yes, I know it. I go back and, oh, I didn't realize that, or I didn't remember that. And then I learned that. So goals, from Scrum Guide 2020, goals are now, more up front and center. Get your product goals, sprint goals. For Bob Proctor, it's all about reviewing your vision and goals daily. He has you actually, and I could share, I do this every day, where I'm writing down my goals, like every day. And every day I write them, I write my gratitude and what I'm doing every day. So I'm doing this a lot. I have books of it now. And it goes over during the day, just like a daily Scrum, right? He's like, first thing in the morning, write your goals down, make sure you know what you want to do and how you're going to take actions you're going to accomplish them. Very much like a daily Scrum. And again, this is to be high producing. This is to produce millions of dollars. So this, when people, why do I have to do our daily Scrum in the morning? Well, there's a reason, because it starts your day off in the right way. From the Agile Manifesto, responding to change over following plan. A goal is not a plan. A goal is where you want to be as you go through your sprints and your Kanbans and your processes. You're going to change that plan over time. Okay. And then also from Bob Proctor, the goal remains, but how we get there changes. So it's funny, very funny how he says it this way. And this is how the Agile Manifesto says it. Very similar. So the plan changes, but the goal is there, right? Any questions? Any thoughts? Well, we have chat. Let me see. Oh, no, you just got the poll link. Okay. All right.
You can unmute if you have questions. You do not have to save them till the end if you would like.
Yeah, it's free. We got time. This is a short presentation. So I think it's 16, 17 slides. So good. And if you have any questions, how you can apply this personally or in your team, feel free. But this is stuff when your team asks you, why do you do this? Well, hey, these guys over here are making millions of dollars, and it makes sense. All right. Visualization. Again, this is another Bob Proctor thing. Visualizing your goal in your brain. So the idea is that you visualize what you want to do. That's why we do our sprint goals and Scrum and Agile. We kind of visualize drawing vision maps of the goals and pictures, not just word, but also pictures. Pictures are very important. When I coach my teams, Product owners, they write words. They'll say, I want pictures. And this over here on the right-hand side is actually, I have a visual diagram of my goals. And there's actually a train drawn on one, but that's a little snapshot. And on there is an actual coffee shop or coffee business. I didn't know what it was, but I knew I wanted to do it because I'm always up at 5 a.m. doing my show anyhow. And I have a picture of coffee. I'm actually now engaged with a local coffee shop and working with them on different things and actually coming up with a different a coffee brand, a couple of them. So visualizing your goals, knowing I don't know how I was going to get there. Lots of opportunities, you never know. And then you just follow which way shows up. So it does work. I will say that. And like you can see, my super goal was to make $1 million a year. So one day we'll get there. Repetition, all of them, every guru you talk to, they always talk about repetition. Agile manifesto, regular intervals, Scrum guys, shorter sprints employed to generate more learning cycles. Bob Proctor is all about repetition. He uses repetition to program your subconscious in such a way that you just do it. You break old paradigms like we couldn't do that, but use repetition to improve what you're doing. Gary Vee questions why companies are not putting 100+ pieces of social media content out a day. That's that. My own little tip, better cadence and leads to less documentation and sprint interruptions. If you have better repetition, you're getting better at what you're doing as many times as you can. There's more confidence by the customer and they won't interrupt you. And this is just a little picture from my 5 a.m. morning walks with my puppy down the river. So I put them on Instagram almost every other day. That Mastermind. So that is coming from this Think and Grow Rich book by Napoleon Hill. And again, you can see it's kind of beat up because I'm actually rereading it again. I try to read a book, a chapter every night from each book, and I concentrate on a book. So the concept of the mastermind is just about everywhere. If you listen to Bob Proctor, Napoleon Hill, they use it a lot. And when they talk about a mastermind, it's a coordination of knowledge and effort and a spirit of harmony between multiple people with a definite purpose. Not just let's all meet and just hang out. No, there's a definite purpose. They share problems, they help each other, and they use their assembled experiences and talents and knowledges to solve the problem. Sound like Scrum. That's what Scrum is designed to become. It's designed to become the mastermind. If you look at XP, when you have all those different perspectives in the room, that is a mastermind, right? And that idea and those talents help each other feed off each other to produce a better product. And I would actually say you get to the U squared part, which we'll talk about that in a little bit too. The big thing on Mastermind, there is a team norms at the beginning of our meeting. They mention that Mastermind. There's one item in the Mastermind write-ups they all say, and that's one to forgive. I think this is missing from most team norms, and I highly recommend if you're a coach, a Scrum Master on a team, consider adding this statement to your team norms. I forgive myself for mistakes I've made. I also forgive others who have hurt me in the past so I can move on to future with a clean slate. I think that is so key to making a good Scrum team, a good team operate. And people just assume this, but people make mistakes. People hurt each other. People break each other's code, or they break each other's product by accident and hopefully not on purpose. And you have to learn to forgive them so you can work together to come up with a solution. If somebody doesn't pull up their weight, you don't want to give up on them. You want to work with them and connect with them. So that is just something that I think if you can put that in your team norms, I think your teams will be, wow, that would be a deep statement. Okay, Grant Cardone, Blame Game. If you ever read his book, the 10X rule. He's very big on, he's a very big time multi-billion-dollar company building for real estate. He's got his 10X shows he's doing now. But one of his very first things he talks about in the beginning is don't blame others for lack of success. And I don't know how many teams I've seen them blame everyone else but themselves for not being able to get something done, right? And he assumes, I love this about him, it will take 100 times more work and effort to get what you want. I put a little note there, classic teams overcommit when they don't realize this. And then other teams will blame, well, they didn't tell me, or I didn't, they did something and broke something. Well, is it their fault or our fault for not being proactive on that and understanding what could damage what we build, right? And I love these couple of things, and this is so many teams forget. Agile principles, self-organizing. Self-organizing also includes self-responsibility, right? You are it. Scrum guide. Team is responsible for all product-related activities. So it's up to us to understand that. And I've done so many corporate level surveys and, hey, is this a team level thing or is it organization, another team? And so many times I question team, well, what can you do in the team to minimize the impact of these other teams? And have you done it? And that gets to the 10X rule that Grant Cardone talks about. Don't blame others for stuff. Have you done all you can to minimize that impact, right? And that's something to take away from Grant Cardone. And he's, again, built billion-dollar companies. Okay, so U Squared. It's a simple book. If you ever want to read it, it's like this small. It's a real small book. It talks about quantum leaps and failure. To me, this is Agile, Agile in a nutshell. Price Pritchett is recommending seeking failure. It helps one find the boundary. So by failing, you figure out how far you can go. Make moves before you're ready. I'll be honest with you, I did a YouTube show last night. I wasn't really ready, but I did it because I needed feedback. I needed to know what was working, wasn't working, and what I need to do to get my operations right. Finding solutions that are not known yet. There's solutions that as of now don't exist, but you can think about them and try to make quantum leaps to achieve them. What people make mistakes, and I put this on my show the other day, Scrum sprint reviews are supposed to create leaps, not just the word done, where so many people think these reviews are about, oh, let's get the product owner to say what's done and check it off. It's not that. It's also about product owner, stakeholders, even yourselves. When you see the demo, you go, oh, wow, I can do this now. Or I didn't know you could do that. How about this, and the other thing? Now you're making those quantum leaps of value to your company. That's how you make $1 million teams. It ain't just the one thing. It's who comes up with ways to use it. I'll give you tech examples. I remember working at a certain large communication company here in Philadelphia, and containerization really wasn't used. Automated testing wasn't really used. It was pretty much all manual. Now we have like automated tests instead of manual. You can test code forever. That did not exist 10 years. I mean, it did, but it didn't exist like it is today. That now it's a normal. Back then it was a unique thing. So look for these quantum leaps and what you can do to achieve what you want. Okay, and Leela, I love her. Please don't take offense at the title, but I love her. No bull, advice and tactics to build your business. So she's on YouTube. Her and her husband built $100 million business between the two of them. She helps companies with $3 million or triple their business, going from 30 to 10 million and so on. Her thing, one video is I really like what she does, is setting people up for success. And how does this apply to Agile? I'm going to say towards the bottom, the very first value in the manifesto is individuals and interaction over process and tools. And we fail so much on the individuals and the interactions. And then in this one little video she wrote, and you can look it up, why good employees quit, 5 mistakes to avoid. And I totally agree with her. Primary reason, onboarding is poor, right? That's the reason. And these goals over here kind of talk to it. She put a quote out, if you fire someone within a year, it usually costs 100% of their salary to 300% of their annual salary. So by not doing this right and not bringing people on your team, it's going to cost you a boatload of money. I've seen so many teams that didn't onboard new people properly who spent, I'm going to be honest with you, 3 to 6 months before they really produce value on the team. Who can afford to pay 3 to 6 months that value? So that's just because they onboard people terribly. One of the things I do as an Agile coach and a Scrum Master when I was Scrum Mastering is I have my teams cut in stories for onboarding new teammates. I even have them, each member of the team takes on a subtask of those stories so they can gel. So it's really funny. I do this with my teams, and this is what she says are the big things you need to do to make onboarding good. Lots of feedback loops. Communication, we're all about Agile, is all about feedback loops, right? Are you doing good? How are we doing? We're doing good. Trust and honesty. We're really big on trust and honesty in the Agile world. So you got to build that between the employer and employee and the teammates and the new person. Structure and expectations up front. Talked about goals. Got to have that. Got to have it set up. And without that, people get lost. Immerse in the culture. She says, bring them in the team, make them a part of the team. Just don't have them hang loose. Bring them in, show them videos, talk about what you do, what do you produce. And then assigning a buddy from the team, pair programming. I'm a big proponent. Actually, one of the subtasks that I usually create stories is a pair program with somebody else. Someone gets assigned a task to go pair programmer and work with the person on team. So assign them a buddy, bring them around. So these are a couple of things that we do terrible. Some teams do well. Anybody do really well? I don't know. But if they do, let me know. Text if they have a good experience or go ahead and voice in. But these are a couple of things. And it's the very first thing in Agile. We skip it. Individuals and interactions. Every one of these things is about individuals and interactions with the team and the other people that came on board. So if you want to make that $1 million team early, this you have, because you got a brand new team, right? So you got to make sure this all exists. And then wasting time. Gary V, he hates meetings. Speeds wins. He's like I laughed when I heard this video, and it's like a 2-year-old video. That's one of the first reasons why I really started liking him. How to use your time efficiently as possible. That's the title of the video. His thing is about critical meeting goal is critical, and you have to make decisions. Here's some quotes. I'm able to move something or cut something down. I'm extremely thoughtful about cutting times in meetings, right? Cutting it down so it gets to the pure point of the meeting so people aren't just messing around. Understanding a 7-minute meeting is rule, not just making it a 30-minute meeting. And then the last one, make decisions, don't overthink it. These two last ones are so Scrum, right? 15-minute daily Scrum. I don't know how many teams schedule a 30-minute daily Scrum because they're going to talk about other stuff. No, it's 15 minutes or less. If they want to talk, they can schedule their own meetings, but you don't reserve that extra 15. I don't care what anybody says. We're going to do the extra. It's a waste of time. They need to meet, they'll meet. They can do it. They're grown-ups. They can handle it. And they have to be able to say no, right? One of my tips, so we talked about 15 minutes, and out. Reoccurring meetings are death nail to decisions. If you see someone set up a reoccurring meeting to come up with a solution, they can't make decisions. I'm going to tell you right now, they're not going to make decisions, and it's going to get spreaded. I love the way he says, don't overthink it. He makes a decision and he doesn't know if he's going to be right or wrong. He has enough knowledge in what he does. It says, I think this is the right move, but there's a lot of times it's not. But you just have to make the decision, move on, and put something into the customer's hand to get that feedback loop. And then my other point, don't overthink story points. So many people so worry about story points. I'm like, no, it's a 5-second thing. You look at it, you compare it to something you did, is it bigger or smaller? Boom. You take a quick vote, boom. So that is what we're looking for, right? Okay, and I definitely watch this. There's some language in there. He uses a lot of colorful language. So does she in the last video and the last group, but it's very good. And then the last one I want to talk about is gratitude. There's this book. I don't know if you ever heard of the movie The Secret, and this is the magic. So this is a bonus habit, and it loosely tied to agile teams, but having gratitude in what you do every day, being grateful for things we do have, daily practice of being thankful. Every $1 million, $1 billion guru says this is key to life and to their success, because it doesn't allow them to get upset when things don't go wrong. They actually are grateful for things going wrong because it helps them understand limitations and things that they didn't plan for. Look at Grant Cardone. He's like, don't blame other people. Same idea. Be grateful for what happens, because now it makes you think of making a better product that'll be robust. And also, I would say teams should celebrate and take time to appreciate what they did accomplish, and not just plow into another time box, go into another sprint, go into another topic. Give themselves a little thankful that they did get it, what they learned, and enjoy each other's company. Thankful for the team. So that is just something that, from a bonus thing from gratitude and a personal thing, practice your gratitudes every day. Everyone says, if you listen to anything on YouTube, they're all about practicing gratitudes. I write 10 down every day, and then I say thank you 3 times for each one I was grateful for. And I will say it has kind of transformed my demeanor to a more happy demeanor. And I don't get upset for things that don't work out or someone doesn't do something. So something to think about there. Here's a couple of the books, clothing and reference materials. You got pictures of some of the books. And that is it. Any questions, any thoughts, any things you have at the end there? We went through that. See, it wasn't that painful. We did it in 30 minutes or so, right?
Feel free to unmute and ask your questions if you'd like, whatever you are more comfortable doing. Any questions, comments, anything?
Did it sound okay? Does that sound like good stuff? Things you can use in your teams and in your own personal life? You're all ready to make $1 million a year? It's all my visual. Who's going to make the first million? No. You're all quiet. I know our host is going to make $1 million though.
If nobody has any questions, I will also, my LinkedIn is in there. Sometimes people have questions afterwards. Feel free to connect with me as well. I know sometimes afterwards, I'm still giving everybody time to think if they have any questions. Also, put this back in here.
You can also message me too.
Yep, that is right. Also, Greg has offered, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Greg has also offered to share his slides. So anybody who would like them, I'm putting this back in here in case you missed it. Please feel free to reach out to me either through LinkedIn, I put my LinkedIn profile link in there, or email. And when Greg sends them to me, I will forward them on to you in case, you need time to soak this in as well. And then you want to forward on questions or whatever. I know sometimes it takes time to soak everything in, or you're like, oh, hey, I missed that book. That works as well.
There's some of the books right there. Anybody wants to snap a picture of that one if you're interested. And again, practice, repetition, reading some of these a couple times just to make sure that you learn new things every time you read too.
I have a question.
Sure.
Okay. What would you recommend? How would you recommend someone that's new to Scrum and they have a new team that is not well versed in Scrum? How would you recommend with like being more relatable and getting the team to I guess learn Scrum? Because a lot of people are like, because they don't really know how Scrum works. A lot of people are not willing to learn Scrum. You may get some resistance from your new team.
One I would talk about, if you wanted to refer directly, is the Mastermind. Getting your team norms together, doing team norms, getting people to agree on what they want to do as a team. That's like the key to Agile and Scrum, is having them agree, not me as a Scrum Master telling them what to do, but here's the framework. How do you want to now operate in that framework? Doing a simple thing, it doesn't take much. There's only 5 events in Scrum, right? So yeah, someone corrected me today. He's like, I was like, what do you get the 5th one? Oh yeah, the sprint. It's very easy to go through why you do each one and have them agree to how they want to operate. That helps get that over quicker. And then the other thing is have them practice it more regular. If you're doing Scrum on a month plus cadence, you won't get as much practice at it. And so every time you do it, it's going to feel hard and difficult, right?
Right.
What kind of cadence are you using?
So I'm new to Scrum, so I have not had a job in Scrum. I just finished a class and I just took my exam and I passed. So I was just asking because now I'm interviewing for jobs and I'm looking for entry-level jobs.
Mm-hmm.
So like I kind of don't know what to expect from, what if the team is new, because I'm new in Scrum. So what if they're new in Scrum? Just trying to figure out how to, if I run into a team being resistant to it.
So that also goes into, one, the longer your time box, the more resistance you're going to get. So they have to deliver something. So you have to find a balance point. Where does it make sense? Is it 6 months or is it a week, or day, depending how they are? Building that trust factor between you as a Scrum Master and the team, and building that trust factor as a team in general, are really important to getting them to take on Scrum. Because again, you are working as a mastermind to solve complex problems.
Right.
So just that alone, do icebreakers, have some fun events in the beginning. Some people don't like Sprint Zero, and I don't know, maybe there'll be some people, Sprint Zero is terrible, it's evil. I don't treat Sprint Zero like other people do. I treat it as a chance to, one, get everyone to know each other, and I always make it to the sprint cadence. My Sprint Zero is the same length as a sprint, because usually you're not doing coding, you're setting stuff up, you're getting everybody together, doing the team norms, definition ready, definition done. When do we all agree that something's done? When do we know when it's ready? What are our pain points? What's our favorite food? Where do we like to go on vacation? That whole thing goes into the first week, getting everyone installed, and even the onboarding process, right? If you got a brand new team, the onboarding process is really key, right? Or new members of the team, because that helps build all that up. So as you can see, everything in this slide that kind of applies to building that. Because in essence, if you have 10 developers, you're spending a lot of money. It's a lot. So it ain't cheap. So I always find it amazing when people think they don't have to produce something in a while. I'm like, we're spending a lot of money on this team.
Right.
But the best way to get them to produce, get them to agree how and what they wouldn't do it.
Right.
Does that help a little bit?
It does. Thank you.
And feel free to message me. If you get questions, send me a note on LinkedIn. I answer. I got like 12,000 connections right now. But whenever they ask questions, I always respond. So
Thank you.
you're welcome.